What's a very common thing that you just can't relate to? I went to a Big Ten college. I swear everyone was having the time of their life but me. I couldn't wait to graduate. Me too. I couldn't afford a football ticket and didn't major in anything I couldn't have at a school closer to home. Oh well. Being quiet late at night when your parents are asleep. My parents are deaf. Would you quit waving your arms? I have a headache. Damn. What a life. Not being afraid of being heard. Well, not by your parents at least. I'd about siblings. So many possibilities. Running a brush through my hair. I have very curly hair, so only finger brush it when it's wet, which isn't often. Seeing people grab a brush and run it through their hair when they've been in the wind or just to freshen up. I wish. I have to brush it in the shower because it's just too curly and thick to do anything with. My sister, whose hair like her father's and would never understand the struggle, grabbed a round hairbrush one day and thought it would be funny to put it in my hair. It got stuck and I just sat there and cried. Another time when I was really young, my aunt, who was my father's whiter half-sister, decided to put little tiny buns all over my head with newspaper elastics that ended up getting stuck and ripping out my hair. I literally bled because of it. It once took me a long time to explain to my black mother that my hair is in fact naturally curly, not damaged, as her white church group of friends say, because they insist that I should be able to brush it dry since hair is hair and it all works the same. I'm an office worker. I like my job and co-workers. So you're the asshole. I also really like it. I can listen to podcasts or watch TV shows while working, and I love the fixed schedules. Coming out of gastronomy work, that's heaven. Not voicing your discomfort in certain situations. Too often I see that things could be solved if someone just spoke up, but it baffles me when they don't. Sometimes people grow up in environments where their voice was always shoot down, so they can't notice their own discomfort. So, one day I was stressed because I had a shitty day at work, and I had very limited time before my evening classes to prepare dinner and clean the kitchen, and my husband has the audacity to be upset because I didn't have time to eat dinner with him. I apologized to him and cried, but could not understand why I was upset. I could only think that it was not his fault and I was sorry for him. Putting others' wants ahead of own needs sometimes is encouraged since childhood, that it's very difficult to notice our own discomfort. I have bad social anxiety and don't like to rock the boat. It's like a physical pain even thinking about speaking up in some situations because I don't want to make anyone feel bad, even if it makes me feel bad. People taking out loans for their wedding expenses. One of the number one reasons people get a divorce is money. No better way to start off your marriage than in debt, I guess. Hating your wife, at least it's common where I live. My wife is amazing and we make each other better. Edit, mandatory thank you for the awards. To answer some common questions, my wife and I have been married for nearly 5 years, we have hit the post-honeymoon phase, and we're both American. Ah, the old ball and chain. Am I right? Wink, elbow elbow, nudge nudge. Everyone has a miserable marriage like mine, right? Right? Horrible guys, you know, have a rough day at the factory, come home, tuna casserole, and just start swinging. Being able to do a normal amount of housework/errands and still have plenty of energy left for hobbies. I have ADHD. On the ADHD train, being able to sit down to do something and just do it. Like people can apparently just do that. Even with meds it's still a struggle. It blows my mind that people can start a task and finish it without tons of distraction and sidetracking and zoning out and just walking away. It doesn't even have to be a hard task. Edit, a lot of people are commenting things like I must have ADHD. And all I can say is, being distracted doesn't necessarily mean you have ADHD. Don't self-diagnose based on a comment from someone on the internet. If you think you may have ADHD, look into some self-evaluations, simple online eval here. If those evils lean towards saying you do have ADHD, try to make an appointment with a professional mental health worker who can formally diagnose you, typically a psychiatrist or psychologist. Don't just take an online test and say I have ADHD. Because you need a medical professional. ADHD is a complicated and multifaceted disorder that can have a wide variety of symptoms. Those symptoms can vary wildly depending on age and sex as well. ADHD tends to present differently in women than men. I feel ya. I hyper-focused on cleaning yesterday because my dog has been shedding like nuts and I've been constantly inhaling fur. Took me about 4 hours. Then I laid on the couch for about 8 hours and watched a bunch of Star Wars movies, cause my gas tank was at 100% empty. Skeptical. Keeping up with the Joneses. I don't give a shit how nice or shiny your things are or mine aren't. I'd rather have money in the bank than a new car every year. My car is 6 years old and works fine, and still looks nice. Why would I trade it in just to keep up? Same with phones, clothes, computer, even stuff for my home etc. I like mine, and I get good quality stuff so it lasts. To trade it in for the sake of it would be silly and a waste of money. This one really resonates with me, because almost every person I know who is moderately wealthy, like self-made wealthy, not trust fund wealthy, is not ostentatious at all with their wealth. Most of them drive older cars and have older phones. I remember meeting a very high-up VP in my company and realizing he was using an iPhone that was about 4 models old. That's when it really clicked for me that you don't spend money on stuff you don't need because you have it. You have money because you don't spend it on stuff you don't need. A lot of people with really nice stuff have huge car payments and are mortgaged up to their eyeballs. Realizing that my actual finances were more important than people's perception of my finances was an absolute game changer for me. Speakerphone in public. I barely even want to take a normal call anywhere in public with a whispered tone. God, my dad used to do it all the time and I would absolutely burn inside. FaceTime in public is even worse. In college I would see and hear so many people in communal areas loudly FaceTiming someone. I feel like it's rude. The requirement of drama. I have met so many people who are always in the midst of some drama, and then, when lacking in it, create it for themselves. They thrive off it. I mean, at a push I can understand it to an extent, it gives their lives meaning possibly, but then they try and drag people like myself into their drama. I think, the fuck not. As a former drama queen, I can say that I didn't want the drama, but unfortunately, I was perceiving everything around me as being dramatic, and most often than not, as being a sort of attack on me. And since my mechanism to regulate my emotions was flawed, I was getting very worked up and caught up in emotional storms where I was lashing out, plotting revenge and so on. So embarrassing to look back at it all now. The person you're describing is my ex-friend Danielle, and this is one of the 2 main reasons I broke things off with her. The other was that she's a manipulative bitch. Fuck you, Danielle. Big expensive weddings. Taking and sharing pictures of everything. Except for when I'm traveling, I take maybe 20 pics a year. My boyfriend is like this, he very rarely takes pictures. I used to be too, but I lost someone last year and realized I didn't have one picture with them and it broke my heart, so I promised myself that I'd take more pictures. I don't understand people that take pictures of everything, but I do try to capture moments, not to post on social media but just so I have them if I ever lost that person. I used to be like this. Then you realize how much you forget as life goes on. Sometimes someone leaves you or passes away and you realize you don't have much to remember them by. You say you'll have those memories of good times in your head, but most won't last. 10 years later you'll struggle to remember. Life is precious, life is fun. It's nice to occasionally stroll memory lane and to remember the good times, but you can't if you don't take pictures. I take many pictures a year. Never post any. We have a family group just for sharing pictures of our dogs. Just today I took 3. One while the younger dog was making a funny face and two of him looking like a spring roll. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.